the traditional Supra dyno grab. boy. Actually doing something this time. Well, this dyno session was a wild, wild success, and I could not be happier with the way that it went, with the way that everything turned out, how this thing performed. Just the entire experience was fantastic, and although I'm at a bit of a loss for words right now, I'm going to do my best to, off the top of my head, give a recap, my thoughts, and so on and so forth about it. So, I have the dyno sheet right here. This is the highest horsepower pull we achieved during the day, which was 1,221 wheel horsepower, 756 pound-feet of torque at 38 pounds of boost. This was the most power that this car has ever made. On the previous setup, which was, there are a litany of differences between that setup and this one, so it isn't exactly an apples-to-apples comparison. However, if we go just by the numbers, the car made 1,001 wheel horsepower on 40 pounds of boost. So 1,220 wheel horsepower on 38 pounds of boost. We made over 200 wheel horsepower more on less boost through an automatic than I made with the old 80mm setup. So this setup is working. It's working very well, or it seems to be at this point in time. Again, no mechanical issues, no mechanical failures, nothing along those lines, and the thing just performed wonderfully throughout the entire day. So throughout the course of the day, having built a good foundation for the car and for the tune during the first dyno session, everything went much more smoothly this time, and we were able to wrangle this thing and see just exactly what it's capable of doing. We'll end up running the car on more than 38 pounds of boost eventually as I get used to it and we dial it in more as I make it to the track, but this is at least a phenomenal starting point and a phenomenal thing for us to build off of and hopefully go really, really fast with this thing. The car is still in one piece. I drove it onto the trailer, runs, drives perfectly. All pressures are good, oil pressure, fuel pressure. Coolant temp maintains perfectly fine. I guess the only thing I needed to do during the day was add water to the coolant overflow, as there was probably an air bubble in the system that made its way out and the system sucked the overflow, or sucked all the water out of it. I'll take that. It's a very minor issue, and not even an issue, it's just a part of it, but it's a very minor thing, all things considered. In addition to making a bunch of power, I also got to spend a fun day with my friends. Bob was behind the keyboard, and he is an absolute wizard at tuning and getting cars set up, power management. The whole electronics and computer side of cars, that is his forte, that's his wheelhouse. And I could not be more thankful to have him on my side and have him working with me on this car to bring my vision for this thing to an actual functional reality. So Bob, thank you so much for your effort and your sweat equity and mental horsepower equity that you've paid this thing. It's really hard to put into words just how appreciative I am, but just bear in mind that I do not take it for granted, and you're a hell of a guy. So beyond that, the team at More Speed Performance, they were gracious enough to host us again, and I've known John for a very long time at this point in time. Gordo over there, they're both awesome guys, and I couldn't have been happier to do it in that facility and have all those guys there as well, so they could experience exactly what happened with this thing. In addition to the More Speed guys, my buddies Matt and Sean stopped by, and both of those guys have been around. Sean, I've known him, he's been one of my best friends since we were in preschool, so I've known him for going on 30 years at this point in time, and he's been there the entire time from when this thing initially came into my life all the way through the different turbo setups and the entire history of the car. So to have him there as this thing was making the most power and doing the most interesting things that it ever has, at least in my opinion, that was really special. And I'm really glad that he was there and I was able to share this experience with him. And Matt he's my automotive savant. He's another one of my best friends, and another huge Supra and 2JZ guy, which he has a 2JZ Mark III Supra that it's been a long-term project for him that I keep bugging him to get the car over here so that way I can build his new turbo setup for him. So I guess go in the comments and tell Matt to get his car over here so we can build something cool for it, and I can take you guys along on that journey as well. But the day was filled, it was a special day filled with special people and special experiences, and everything went smoothly. It was a dream of a dyno day, and it was something really, really cool, and I'm really glad that all the time and effort and blood and sweat equity and everything that has gone into this car over all of these years, and you guys have seen a part of it throughout the videos that I've created of this thing, but there's so much more that goes into it than just what's featured in these videos. all of the behind the scenes stuff, all of the parts acquisition. Bob and I were actually talking about this when I was loading the car in the trailer, about how funny it is when you put these cars together. It isn't, even if you put the car together yourself, you build everything yourself. And like this thing, I tried to do everything I possibly can on it myself. But even extending beyond, like having Russ wire it, having Bob tune it, if you think about all of the hands that are involved with it, the people that make the Kirky race seats, everybody at Head Games that went through and got the cylinder head done for me, the guys that accelerated, helping me with machining and getting the bottom end together, the Good Fabs, or the people at Good Fabs for all of the materials for the header, the Tycon guys, and I could go on and on and on. But it really does, and this is a bit of a misnomer, but it takes a village, and it truly does, to put a car like this together. Some people can do everything on it themselves. They can tune it themselves, wire it themselves, build their own chassis, do their own paint, do everything like that themselves. But there still are a litany of different hands that are involved with it. And when you think of it in those terms, it's really cool. And everything that goes into it, it's easy to take for granted, but they aren't just parts. Everything that goes into it, it's a massive community effort. And whether people in the community realize it or not, so many people play a role in building these cars and campaigning them and everything else. And that's really special as well. So before I drone on forever, which I'm sure I've already droned on enough, just a phenomenal day, phenomenal experience. And I'm not the best at portraying my emotions, but I'm so happy, so I'm ecstatic, and my internal fire for this car, for racing, for all that stuff is reignited, and I can't wait to make it back to the track at this point in time. So without getting too wordy right now, we need to go ahead and wrap this video up. So obviously a huge success with the Mark IV. It did better than I could have ever imagined on the dyno. And after a little bit of additional wrap-up work, we'll be ready to get to the track with this thing before the end of the year. So we have that to look forward to, and some other cool welding and fab projects on it. But for right now, I need to get back to work on Dave's car, get it wrapped up, and then get back to the Mark II after that. So again, a huge thank you to Bob for pressing the keys on the computer to make this thing do what it did. I will link him in the pinned comment below, so if you guys need any tuning done on your vehicles, please reach out to him, contact him, and he'll get you squared away and get you set up with a car that runs phenomenally. So huge thank you to him, to all my other friends and the companies and everything else that have gone into this car to make it what it is today. And it's been quite a journey so far, and we have a lot to look forward to in the near future with it. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in, for coming on this wild and crazy journey with me, with this car, with all the customer cars, with the Mark II, and everything that is yet to come. I'm having an absolute blast with this, and I hope that you guys are enjoying yourselves as well, and I'm happy to have you along on this journey with me. But with all of that being said, that will be the end of this episode. So as always, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, check out the website for manifolds, merch, and all things like that, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. you.